Hi everybody, Jim from Aero Sports, and thank you for tuning in to a very special edition of Faster Fiction, something we haven't done before, but we're going to do more of. Sitting here to my right is Beth and Luke McKenzie. They are the founders and owners of Wyn Republic clothing, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but most of you don't know that Luke owns a piece of triathlon history that affects you virtually every time you train and every time you race, and you know nothing about it. 10 years ago this month, at the Ironman World Championships here in Kailua, Kona, Luke McKenzie was the first pro to wear a sleeved tri-suit. So that changed triathlon forever, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today, and then we're going to talk a little bit what it's like to create a clothing company and how difficult it is to do that. All right, so welcome you guys. Thank you so much for doing this. I know how busy you are. I really appreciate it so much.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, of course.
It's really good to reconnect.
Yeah. 10 years, man. I can't believe it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it. You're the one who reminded me that it had been 10 years when I reached out to you. And so let's go back to 2013. And we did some aero testing together. Mm-hmm. You were one of the first pros to actually do the velodrome aero testing, because that was all brand new back then. And one of the things that we had discovered was that sleeves were faster than a sleeveless tri-kit. Up until then, everybody wore sleeveless. So you then wanted to wear a sleeves tri-suit, but it wasn't easy, was it?
It wasn't easy, no, Jim. At the time, well, I do have to correct you there. I will be totally honest and transparent. The year prior, Marino Vandenacker actually did wear a sleeve tri-suit, but he infamously blew up in the energy lab and sat there and drank the bottle of Coke and whatnot, and so he didn't quite pull it off. But where I think I benefited was the year later when I did wear the suit, I placed second. And it was this change in mentality that aerodynamics now really does play a big role in this race. And from then on, we saw more and more, like that next year, 2014 onwards, I think we went from just myself and Marino in the sleeved suit to literally half the field, if not more, just in that 1 year. And now you would not find one single athlete that doesn't wear it. So yeah, it was just that pivotal time back in 2013-14.
Yeah, but I remember also at that time, because Luke took such an interest in the aero testing when he was working with you, and found that. But at the time, you were with Saucony, and they were also in charge of their apparel, not only Luke's, but a few other athletes as well. And Luke really pushed, after working with you, for the development of that aero suit. And then actually the other Saucony athletes that year were able to choose that. So I think Heather and Trevor Wertel also chose it, but it was like through Luke's sort of development of it, which was really cool, I thought. So there were a couple others on the race course that year with it, right?
Yeah.
Was that? Yeah, I don't remember 2013 or 2014 how mixed. But that first suit, they didn't.
It was fine to talk about now. I mean, I'm not under contract or whatever. But yeah, it was a really big. It was tough because they didn't want me wearing the suit.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "We've made your apparel. This is it. You've got to wear the two-piece kit that you've always worn." And I just knew, like, after testing with you, I'm like, I'm at a disadvantage. If it wasn't getting across in the conversations we were having. It was more important to them to have the kit that they'd made us. And push came to shove, and I was just like, I'm going to make this suit myself. Went out and manufactured.
Essentially like white labeled a suit.
Yeah. It was even tough to find anybody to make the suit without their logo, right?
Exactly, and that was I had to get approvals to make sure the artwork was, we got there in the end. But it wasn't easy, and I'm so glad that I did push for it, because it really did open the door for the next wave of aerodynamics in triathlon.
It really did change triathlon. You literally changed triathlon that year. You did it. I forgot about Marino.
Yeah.
I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Do you remember the one mistake they made on the suit that actually showed who made it? Do you remember that?
No, what was that?
The pull tab.
All right.
Because I remember during the race, people were reaching out to me going, who made the suit? Who made the suit?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Saucony.
And I forgot, I think it was someone from Triathlete magazine, when you were coming out of T2, they saw the zipper.
Oh, yeah.
And the pull tab. And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
went to the, I don't know if we want to talk about who made the
Yeah,
suit, but
yeah.
they went to the makers of the suit and said,
Yeah.
hey, tell us about it.
Yeah.
And I will give them credit. Is it okay if I mention it?
sure.
It was Champion Systems
Yeah.
who made the suit, and I'll give them credit. They
Yeah.
refused
Yeah.
to take credit.
Yeah.
They said,
Oh, wow.
we don't know
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We know nothing about
I know.
that.
That was part of the deal.
That
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, at a moment, really,
Yeah.
I don't think any of us knew how big of a moment it was at that time, but when they could have taken full credit for it and
Yeah.
didn't. So I
Yeah.
always thought that was pretty cool that
I
they
agree.
did that. And
It definitely led into the next part of my career, though, with opening opportunities. Like, a lot of people saw what I did there, and I was presented with a lot of opportunities off the back of that, with my sponsors and new partners, and which ultimately led to having a lot of, and Beth as well. I mean, we're a couple, and we were both racing professionally, and so we were advising and giving a lot of feedback on tri-suits. So
Yeah.
I think that's what, we found. We're quite passionate about it. And yeah, just...
is that then what led you to start your own clothing company?
Ultimately, yeah. And I think we can be quite transparent too. Beyond that, we started working with Endura, who at the time also came from a very aerodynamically minded... it was very exciting to be approached by a company that saw... it's very stark contrast to the battle I was having with Saucony, and I was like, this is where the direction we want to go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so we had a big hand in creating the Drag to Zero suit, which was, it was a really fun project, and still to this day, obviously Lucy is performing really well in it.
Yeah,
And
I didn't know that. That's really
and
fascinating.
it's literally almost probably 8 years old now.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, it really does test really well, and so that. But during that time, we realized that. We were having a lot of input in this, and sometimes things don't get transferred to the suit, and you're like, actually, I think we've got something here that we can start Wyn Republic.
I think we both thought that it was, they definitely had a super fast suit, and we knew that we could have a fast suit, but also one that functioned the way we needed it to function in triathlon, which I always felt that part of it was a little bit overlooked. There were some things that they would choose the speed at the cost of
Comfort.
function, but
Yeah.
like, you really need to be able to properly swim in the suit and not get chafed and everything
Yeah.
in order to have a good rest of the race and not have that impact you. So
And then
like,
run
at the
afterwards as well, right?
exactly. And then like when you're standing up, like the difference between having like a 2-in-1 design versus like almost like a one piece, which is what they had more. So, but we didn't start it till a couple of years after that, but it was always in our mind that that's something, Luke wanted to do. But you should tell him how you actually,
Yeah.
I should tell him actually how
Yeah,
you started.
it's better when you tell it. You love
I want to
this.
hear it, and they want to hear it.
Yeah.
So, in just maybe late 2016,
Yeah.
all of us, we were at home in California, and Luke had talked about wanting to make an aero tri-suit, just in general, and we no longer had a contract with Endura, anything like that. And he had talked about making this tri-suit, and was it 2016 or 2017? It must have been 2016.
Yeah.
And at home I got this letter in the mail, and I looked at it and it said to Aero LLC. So it was AEROO LLC. And I was like, what is this? And Luke's like, oh, I thought I might like start a company for like an aero tri-suit by an Australian, right? It's like, great. I was
That's
like,
awesome.
and I thought, oh, like, I really like the idea, but that is a very hokey Australian name, and we're done with that now. So right
Well,
away.
what a guy thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna do it, but I'll ask for forgiveness later, right?
Well, of course, yeah, right. And so I was like, okay, I like the idea, but I came from like a marketing background, PR, things like that, and I just thought, well, that's gonna appeal to maybe some Australian men, but I don't know about like American women or this or that. And we had our daughter a year and a half before, and just started coming up with maybe some alternatives, possibilities, and it took a little while, but then we came up with the name Wyn Republic because it was named after our daughter Wyn, spelled differently, but it's also a homophone for win, winning.
Yeah.
So we're like, this is great, and Republic being like about the people. We've always wanted to connect with the community, things like that. So I took over on the branding side, logos, things like that, and then Luke just really started diving
Focused
into
on the product.
Yeah, developing the suit.
And how scary is that, just leaping into this? It's a crowded market, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different players in this market. I mean, was that a scary leap for you guys, or did you start small? And because you're a growing brand, clearly, how did that happen?
So small. I mean, do you want to get into that? I mean, we were still racing professionally at that stage, and we were also running the Island House Triathlon in the Bahamas at the same time. It was a very hectic period, but we both had a lot of passion for business outside of our racing. We knew that there was going to be an end point, and there had to be something there that was going to transition us into, you know, life after sport. And so initially I thought that might have been race directing. You know, I was really passionate about bringing new exciting events to the triathlon arena. And but yeah, during that time we started, you know, developing the products, and
Endura had dropped us.
Yeah,
so we're like, we need a tri-suit.
And you know, obviously the few years after Kona for me, I still had some great races there, but I guess I wasn't seen as a favorite there anymore. So it gave me the time to sort of really, you know, look at where I was going for the future, and we knew that Wyn Republic had something behind it if we could really do a good job. And so yeah, I really focused in that 2017 period on making sure that the launch of the brand was, you know, we had the right products. I did a lot of pre-season testing. A lot of the racing in early 2017 was in prototype suits.
Wow.
We already had the logos, and so for a long time a lot of people were seeing this logo and always messaging us, what is this, what is this, what is this? And we'd be like, you'll see in July.
Yeah.
You'll see in July. And yeah, we launched in July of 2017. Beth was 8 months pregnant. 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
9. Literally, actually, yeah, we had Marlo 3 weeks after we launched the company.
Yeah. So, and it was such a hectic time in our lives that, like, now we look back and we're like, we really wish we had, like, taken more photos and documented it, because it was crazy. Like, we were renting this Airbnb in California that was, it was a total dump, but I was determined to have Marlo in California. Mm-hmm. So we were there for a couple of months, and we thought, oh yeah, we'll launch the brand while we're over in California. Meanwhile, we'd already really started our lives back in Australia. And just on the ground of this Airbnb, we actually had our mattress on the floor, and like stamping mailer bags, just like huge stomach, everything. But then we launched the brand, have our daughter 2 weeks later, and then 3 weeks after that, Luke went and raced Ironman Wisconsin. So he was in full Ironman training when we had our daughter, when we launched the brand, and we were planning the Island House Triathlon. So it was just this like
blur.
Honestly, a total blur. And I wish we had documented a little more, almost just for us to remember what it was like and how we started and everything like that. But yeah, that's how we sort of got off the ground, and then we.
Wow, what a pressure cooker you put
I
yourselves in. Wow,
I was sure that we would have had images of us living amongst boxes of product with a newborn baby, Beth there with, you know, prior to giving birth, you know, stamping the Wyn. We used to have a big stamp that we used to stamp the Wyn logo onto the mailer bags.
No kidding.
Like, just stuff that, you know, when you're very first launching it was like so raw, and just like we didn't really know what we were doing. We were still like writing people's addresses on the on the mailer
I was
bags.
like in the hospital. I remember responding to like some of our first customer service emails and stuff, because so it was a cool time. But from there we just sort of, we thought we'd be mostly a men's focused brand, and more triathlon than cycling. But right away we saw that people wanted not only cycling wear, but also women were really interested in what we were doing, because it was the first women's brand that was focused, I think, more on performance than on just aesthetics. And they knew that, you know, we both had a hold in that and trying to create that, but that I was also really focused on design. So whereas Luke focused on the technology, I wanted stuff that looked good, sleek, but not overdone.
Yeah, and you have a very clean look to your product.
It's very clean, and it's hard to keep it clean because people always want more. Oh, what can we do a little bit different? What can we do? And we've found over time that the more restraint we have with any collection, almost the better it performs. Unless it's like something like a very small limited run for something like Kona, we try to stick to, you know, things that showcase like the colors, the fabrics, and the product. And it ends up looking nice and clean. So
so great. And you are starting to see, you know, women were so often treated as an afterthought when it came to aerodynamics and certainly clothing. That it was, getting clothing to fit women. These companies would just make them smaller, but they wouldn't actually, design them proportionally for women. And so now you have a brand like Wyn that comes along and actually takes women seriously and designs for them, and you're seeing women start to embrace this understanding of aerodynamics and performance and how important all of it is. And I mean, you just go out there and look on the Queen K, right, when people are just getting ready for tomorrow, that it's changed completely in the last few years. And the pro women certainly, but also all the age groupers.
All the age groupers. And that was one of the things when we've been developing our last couple of versions of our highest end suit. So we've had like our Lucao suit and then our Lucao Plus suit, and now a new one that's going to be called the CDA suit.
Saw that.
We've focused on developing them with men, which is what all the brands do, and then also with women. So like in our first wind tunnel testing, we did it on men and women, in our men's suit and our women's suit, which I don't think any other brand has ever done.
You don't see it.
No. Athletes themselves, the women are now taking it into their own hands and going and doing aero testing with you and other places, and that's great. But I don't think any of the brands have taken the development from a woman's body from the beginning that we have. And like our women's suit and our men's suit are totally different in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I think that sort of sets us apart. And now, we had focused on Chelsea over this past year of really developing this suit around her. And now we are developing it around some of our male pros as well, but it actually started with her, which
That's
is
fantastic.
cool.
I love that.
Yeah, it's cool.
No, it's exciting to us too. I mean, we sponsor far more women than we do men, for instance, and we've got a great bunch of guys on our sponsor roster, and that
There's
we
a couple
work with.
more men coming on too.
Yeah, so you'll see soon. We've got a great roster for next year coming ahead, but it's really cool and exciting to have that much influence in the women's space as well. And we've got some of the best, if not the best, women wearing our suits in the world.
Real.
And having their feedback, I really value that. I mean, I came from that background as long as 10, 15 years ago, and I was really excited to work with my partners on developing and making that next step. And it's so awesome to see Chelsea here and having that feedback on the suit we've developed with her, and I see a lot of me in her now 10 odd years later. It's really cool.
That's fantastic. So the CDA suit was launched this week. And this is not meant to be an advertisement, but that's really not what this is about.
It's in prototype.
We're going to
stage
see
as well.
that next year, hopefully?
Yeah, we're planning for the next season. I think obviously this season's done now, and this was really a project, a passionate project that we had based around Chelsea. So we wanted to give her this year to really work with us on developing this suit, and we're pleased with that, and we're going to keep evolving it from here too. So
over the next few months, we're actually currently just working on locking in times with some of our male professional athletes to fine-tune the men's version of the suit with them in formal testing. So that's the part that we haven't done yet, and but people have done some velodrome testing over in Australia with it, and it's testing really well on men so far. So it's just a matter of
Well, the Lucao suit was testing well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's
I've
the thing,
tested
right?
that suit so many times, and it is really fast. I tested a lot of the Everyman Jet guys,
Yeah.
and it's just so fast.
Yeah.
So to make a faster suit,
know.
it's no easy feat,
No.
right?
No.
To keep progressing these designs,
Yeah.
it's not easy.
But that's what we're passionate about, Jim. I mean, I think you can't rest on your laurels either. There's always someone that's going to come along that's going to want to, take that title. So we love that we're pushing the space and, keeping on developing, and that's what we'll continue to do always.
Wow. Okay, man, I am so excited for you guys, really. I know you don't have a lot of time today, so I don't want to take too much of your time, but it's been so fun to watch this company grow and know in the background, and without people realizing, again, in my eyes, you're the one who started it all. You're the one that changed it, and
Thank you.
I always joke, and it's no disrespect to Van Leerty at all, that people don't really remember who won that race. People remember the green sleeve suit from that race. We did one other change that completely changed triathlon that race too. We tilted your arms, and tilted the arm pads, and it's so funny to look at that now because it was so little compared to what we're doing today
Yeah.
with athletes.
Yeah.
But that was the other thing that we did,
Mm-hmm.
and that started it. That
Yeah.
started the whole thing. So
Yeah.
man, you've changed the sport quite a bit, and people just don't realize it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always been a bit of a behind-the-scenes guy. I think, obviously I came up in an era where Macca, Crowe, some of the greats of the time, they were performing, and I was lucky enough to come along for the ride with them. I trained a lot with them. I was, part of the Australian system that sort of got me to that stage. And then, obviously then I really unfortunately came across the Jan Frodeno, Sebastian Kinley era that, I was never going to be able to compete with those guys. They were really, honestly, far and away better athletes, really. I took a very opportunistic approach to my 2013 race, and it paid off. But, I've left my mark in other places in the sport, I think, beyond results. I think just, Wyn Republic might be one of them, but maybe just how I've been involved in the pro community too. So, I'm proud of that, and Beth's proud of that as well on her part. So I think we'll always continue to be invested in the sport first and foremost.